Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review we are looking at the Variable Action Heroes One Piece Rob Lucci figure. And I have to say, it's, I don't know. I don't know why they decided to make this guy so early in the line when there are so many other characters that are more, at least as far as I'm concerned, more important. And they didn't do that great of a job. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 7 3/4 inches tall, which makes him just about 19, closer to 20 centimeters. So he's definitely got his height to him. He definitely looks like he's supposed to for the most part. But they did go crazy with that blue shading, and I don't think it helps the figure. It looks very weird, and in some places it just looks downright bad. Like this arm is almost completely blue, this arm not so much. His legs are fairly well balanced, but even then is a lot of blue. And then if you look at his butterfly joints peeking out, they are not the right color at all. They're almost like a greenish color. So it does not look very good in that respect. Okay, so the sculpt might be okay. It's okay enough, but we definitely have some issues. We'll get back to that once we go through the accessories. So let's do that. We do have his hat, which is a nice accessory. It fits over his hair, so you don't need to pull a hair off or anything, so that's kind of nice. We have the head looking off to the right. We have the head looking off to the left, and then we have the masked head. We also have his little bird, which has fairly nice detail. It's not too bad for an accessory. It also has an interchangeable head with the hat and the mask. Now the bird does connect to his jacket via a magnet, but the magnet is incredibly weak and almost useless. It'll only hold him up in the most neutral pose. Speaking of the jacket, we do have the jacket, which does have some articulation. We have a ball peg at the top for each side, and then we have another ball peg for the bottom of the jacket for either side, so it can be posed a little bit, and the shading on it is a little bit better probably than on the rest of the figure, but it still doesn't look great. Now, it doesn't have any way to connect it to the figure. I'm guessing there's a magnet in there somewhere, but it is just so weak that it doesn't hold it. I can't get it to stay on him, no matter what. I don't know if there's one like hidden in the arm or something, so you can, if you bring it around, it stays on better, but I haven't had really any luck at all with this thing staying on. So good luck with yours if you're able to do it. I'm going to mess around with it more for the photos, but it just doesn't want to stay on very well at all. And I don't think they needed to go with this kind of articulation that's just super floppy in the first place. It's just not good. It's very poorly executed. But we do have some interchangeable hands. So we have the two fist hands that come on him in the package, two pointing finger hands, two relaxed hands, and then two hands that aren't actually hands. They're just nubbins that can tuck into his jacket like he's got pockets, which I think this part of the figure, the jacket part right down here, might be taken from Sanji. I'm not sure. The rest of it seems to be different, but I think this part might be stolen. I don't have mine to compare it to, but it might be if you're concerned with that. Other issues with the paint include the undershirt is not painted very well at all. The little bit more blue that's on there, it's mostly white with blue shading again, so it just looks really bad. The skin tone for the chest, neck, and face look pretty good, but for the arms, it looks atrocious. This is all one piece, so it was molded, no pun intended, it was molded in the flesh tone, which is fine, and then they painted the jacket on top, which is fine. Why is the skin so dark right around his forearms? I have no idea. Another issue is that the elbows are kind of a greenish color when they shouldn't be, and that there is skin tone coming through on the white, which obviously shouldn't be. So very aesthetically displeasing. For the articulation, we have a ball hinge in the neck going up to the head, but the head, again, has no way to move around on top of that, so it's very limited, doesn't work very well. The neck itself is on a ball peg, so that's fine. This hair can move around, it's on a ball peg, so that's actually pretty good. They did a decent job with that. Now, it looks like we would have good shoulder articulation here, but it just doesn't really want to work. We have a butterfly joint that really barely moves at all, a horizontal one that's very limited, doesn't work very well. Then we have this one that can move vertically, which is okay when you bring the arm up, and then you can bring the arm even farther up on the ball hinge. But sometimes when you bring it down, this part sticks up, and it doesn't really want to work. And on this side, it's okay. So we do have a ball peg for the arm that goes into that butterfly joint that lets it move around. And then you already saw we have the ball hinge for the arm. So you can move the arm fairly well. It's just the joints don't really want to move the way they're supposed to. You're just going to have to mess with it. But as you can see, it ends up, the final result is okay. So just be aware of that. You might want to just tuck in these butterfly joints because they don't look great. The horizontal ones just aren't painted well, and they look kind of weird sticking out there. You do have your bicep swivel built into that, though it is pretty minimal. You have a double jointed elbow right here, which works okay. It's really goofy looking though, the way it kind of comes down and scoops around, and it just doesn't continue the sculpt well, and like I mentioned, it's not painted the right color, so not great. And for the wrist, we have our ball hinge, which is pretty standard, so that's just fine. We have a ball peg for the upper torso, which does have some range, not a ton, but it can lean side to side, forward and back a little bit, and rotate some. Then we have another ball peg for the lower torso, which has a lot of range, probably too much, but it's, I say too much because it doesn't quite look good in most poses, but it's okay. And then these guys have little ball pegs to hold them all together to make them move around as necessary, but I don't know, it's okay. For the hips, they're basically the same as Sanji, only he doesn't have that weird crotch design, although it's still kind of there. So that's a little iffy. But we have the hinged ball pegs, so they can go up and down to give you more range. And then how that connects is, you can see right here, we have a ball hinge. And then that ball hinge has a really long ball peg that goes all the way down to here, so you can move the legs out a lot like Sanji. It might even be the same design. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't have mine to check, but it's okay, I guess. You can bring the legs pretty far forward if you want to. Obviously, it's got lots of range, pretty far out to the side, full thigh swivels and all that jazz. So if you want to, you can move the legs around a whole bunch, but they are fairly loose, so you're going to have to be pretty careful about that. I do like that they fit together nicely while they're up or down because of those secondary ball pegs, so that's pretty good. We have double jointed knee, which is okay. The plastic is real shiny on the knee, but it doesn't look too bad otherwise, so that's all right. In fact, yeah, it's got like mold release on it still, but it's still kind of shiny, so just be aware of that. You might be able to wipe that away. And then for the ankles, we have an actual ball hinge with a cap hiding it, so you get a little bit of okay range going forward and back, and then you can kind of rotate it around to give yourself an ankle rocker, which is not bad, but it doesn't have the most range. And then we have a toe hinge, which is okay. So the shoes are kind of glossy though, so I guess that's a nice touch. I don't know, guys. This figure does not do it for me. I wasn't real excited for Rob Lucci in the first place. And then there's just enough stuff wrong with this guy, mostly in paint, somewhat in articulation, that I really couldn't care less if he was in my collection or not. I'm only going to have him because I'm buying all of the One Piece figures, and he's so far the only one that I don't really want. But if you're not getting all of them, or if you don't really care about Rob Lucci, this guy's an easy pass. Definitely not that great, so yeah, I wouldn't get it if I was you. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss any of it. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.